everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Healing with Coherence podcast, founded by Radiant Life Technologies. My name is Michael Tsvetanov, and I am the host of the podcast series. This is episode 9, delving deep into the profound transformation of health science, healing, and technology that is happening in the world today. And I'm very thrilled to welcome my today's guest, Jimmy Bluff, coming from Santa Monica, California, USA. Jimmy is a massage therapist. He's a soft tissue master. He is the founder of the Advanced Muscle Reconstruction technique, known as surgery without the knife, or simply the Bluff Technique. Jimmy, welcome. I'm very thrilled to have you as a guest today, and I'm looking forward to our interview. Would you please introduce yourself to all the viewers and listeners today?
By the way, everyone, Jimmy Bluff here, City of Angels. I do what I call surgery without the knife, advanced muscle reconstruction. I specialize in the fascia and connective tissues of the body, but I also work to realign the spirit, the mind, and the body with my clients. I help them reprogram their central nervous system, their quality of life. I have a huge network of blood doctors, acupuncturists, chiropractors. So any type of healing that can possibly be needed, I've got the network over here in America.
Perfect.
So it's so beautiful being back on the phone with you, my friend. I wish everyone just heard the conversation we had, but we're going to go over it again. So
No, I think we'll cover it again.
Yeah.
For everyone who just joined and will be watching this. This is Healing with Coherence podcast. I'm Michael. I'm the host of the podcast, and this is my friend Jimmy, with whom we talked before, and now we are meeting again, probably half a year, 8 months later on. It's interesting
amazing.
how I got to know Jimmy. I actually found out Jimmy on Instagram, and I found him out through the Instagram profile of Dorian Yates, because Jimmy was giving a therapy to Dorian Yates, the 6-time Mr. Olympia, and he impressed me. And I reached out to Jimmy and I asked him if there is a way how I can get a therapy from him, and then we started connecting and so on and so forth. So this is episode 9, and I invited Jimmy to talk with him about his healing practice, healing techniques, because as you all know that you have been watching the podcast so far, Healing with Coherence is about all that has to do with healing technology, and like in
Speaking
overall.
of coherence, you want to talk about heart coherence, iTorus?
Absolutely.
This sits right over my heart and works with the own electricity, and I've noticed a difference since getting it from iPyramids. Sorry to cut you off.
That's what I want to talk with you about, Jimmy.
Crazy, bro.
Coherence is in the very center of what we're gonna talk about, because it's interesting how the paradigm of health has been moving and changing, and how also the terms that people in the industry or in the area of healing have been using. So from this holistic approach to integrative approach, and now it is this coherence and coherative approach, which I think all is the same, but also evolving.
Step back, right?
Yes.
We try to focus on one little thing, and for me, my entire career, I looked at everything. I looked at my clients' emotion. I looked at their spirituality, because man, the body keeps the score. An amazing book written, and it's so interesting. Gabor Mate, Passion Inquiries, speaks a lot about, when people hold on to certain traumas and emotions, it's wild, man. And some of the sessions were especially my masculine clients, my warriors, feel safe enough to get very deep, bro. I mean, we're crying, we're hugging, because some of this stuff is so deep. Their memories are coming through, and when I'm opening up these nerves, because it literally holds on to trauma, and they're telling me about their childhood, whatever they accident they had on their bike that they forgot about or something. It's so fascinating how we go through layers. I talk about layers of the onion with my clients. And I was thinking this morning a recent client, a really big guy with a frozen shoulder. I don't know anyone in the world that can fix a frozen shoulder in a few months. I fixed it in 2 1-hour treatments. It was crazy. Never been able to do that in a man, especially a very muscular man. And it was because he was a very spiritual individual who was ready to go very, very deep. And he had a very strong meditative practice. And bro, it was wild witnessing what was taking place in that session as I was channeling, and indigenous stuff was coming through, and it was just really wild what he was seeing in his third eye at the same time. So it's healing. It obviously is on many different levels, and you can find your healing in many different places. And it's so cool that obviously, yes, you're talking about coherence because, obviously it comes in the crown, and my goal as a healer is to let that divine energy come in through my crown, out through my heart, out through my hands, right? I just allow it to pass through. My goal is to be a hollow bone. My teacher Wakia with the Lakota, people can spend time with him down in Brazil. I can, get the information for where he practices his sweat lodges, and he also comes to America with me. Unbelievable experiences. They developed this inipi, which is like a portal, and they pray to the east, the north, the west, the south. The indigenous from the beginning, there are references in the Bible about Moses going up on the hill, no food and water. Yeah, the indigenous have been doing that since the beginning of time. So a lot of this stuff, even that the religions have now and all this sort of stuff, was kind of taken. You know what I mean? And I don't want to go down a dark path, but I cry every time the indigenous tribes speak of the Christian missions that basically tried killing them and murdering them for 60 or 70 years. You know what I'm saying? It makes me so angry. It's disgusting. So it's so interesting when you get back to the root of Mother Earth and what they refer to as Gaia. When I came back from Brazil, my dad said to me, I don't know what you've been doing down there in the forest, but I have never seen you so calm and so relaxed and so happy. He's like, please don't stop, which is insane. You know what I'm saying? My father's father was a Marine, a state trooper for 20 years, and a sheriff for 30 some years. My father's best friend died in Vietnam with a Purple Heart. That's why I go by Jimmy, not James. So there's a lot of that very powerful trauma because my dad is also such a sensitive, and I would have never guessed that as a child, but he's such a beautiful heart. Growing up with such a beautiful example of love in my family, I was very, very fortunate, even though I was the middle child and the black sheep, we refer to it, so I could see energy as a kid and ghosts, and I was freaked out. I was so hypersensitive. I had gifts and I didn't realize it. Life was just very confusing because I could feel what people are feeling. So when they were lying to me, it was so confusing. I'm like, I don't understand. This person's lying to me. So how my coach explained it to me is I just have the ability to feel very, very, very big. When someone talks to me about their friend, I can feel their energy field. When I'm on the consultation on the phone with the client, I can feel the pain in their body and explain to them what's happening. And they're like, wow, that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, well, I know. So it's really kind of fascinating. The indigenous were the ones who helped me understand and realize all this. So it's so interesting when you learn from the indigenous. What I felt is I just came back home to my own heart. Like, do you know when the tribes, Lakota and the Navajo, fought, Wakia told me that if they were to murder a warrior in the other tribe, they have to feed that warrior's family until they get back on their feet.
Oh my God.
They go into a sweat lodge and they sweat their asses off until they literally receive their vision from God, and they remove impurities, and they're crying and screaming and letting go of everything and then giving it back to Mother Earth as they pray, and then they come out. So it's so interesting when you're out there in the jungle in the forest, and these people from America and all over the world are losing their shit. And the indigenous children are just looking at them like, that's so interesting, because they're healed. They don't hold trauma. It's wild. Imagine growing up in a place where the entire village was loving you and raising you properly. Could you imagine how beautiful that would be again?
That's
Now it
amazing.
has its
Sounds
own limits,
amazing.
obviously,
Yeah.
out there in the forest, but I tell you, I drank with the Shipibo liquid tobacco and purged as a detox. And their ceremonies are in pure darkness, man. And when they sing the Icarus, it's like da 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 da. You can feel the medicine working its way through your body like a computer program. Dude, the next morning I turned my phone on and I used the bathroom, and it was like my body reprogrammed itself. My phone the next morning randomly asked for an update. I felt like I just updated my freaking DNA, and like looking at trees and everything, and from purging, we hold on to traumas. So what the medicine does, at least the aya, it's a root and a vine, when it comes together, it creates the God molecule, DMT. It's also what's released when we're born and when we die. Or if we do extreme breath work, we oxygenate what we call the pineal gland in the third eye, and that is their spiritual connection to source. So it's amazing. In obviously the Amazon jungle, they drink the medicine to get there. Then I come back to America and I have the opportunity to meet Sri Ravi Shankar with The Art of Living. He's the gentleman who blessed my hands the third time. He's illuminated twice over. These gentlemen are so amazing. When he was 4, he was reciting the Bhagavad Gita by heart. And then they realized, holy crap, he's an ascended master. This guy, this gentleman, he's here literally to raise and hold the vibration of the planet. That is his personal mission. Can you imagine that? So getting to meet this man and meditating in a room with him, he can get to the same place that it takes the indigenous drinking that medicine. So it's almost like, whoa, when you realize some of the beauty from these different spiritualities. And I've been so blessed to have some of the most powerful men in the world as my teachers. And I've also come to realize that obviously some of the most powerful men in the world also have a human side in my learning.
Jimmy, this is amazing. It's so. I mean, I'm just wondering how you're able to embrace all of that. I mean, it's so vast. And where did you start? I mean, you started somewhere with the
My
with
nana
your
passed
massage.
away when I was 12. My nana passed away when I was 12, and that pissed me off.
Okay.
And I was looking at priests, and I was looking at the Catholic Church, and I was like, "You're not doing anything." I would have become a priest. I thought it was healing. All I saw there was trauma, and I was so pissed off at God. I told my parents, I'm done with church. You imagine that? Because of my nana. She's right here. When I was in my early 20s bodybuilding in Utah, I had a woman bring a man to my front door, and this dude was shaped like an S. And that's how I remember meeting her. And she says, "Can you help my friend? I hear you can help my friend." And I said, "Okay." It was like the day before Christmas. He hadn't been working for like a month. His name was Peter. So I start working on him. This woman's like, I see light coming out of your hands and elbow. And she got down and bowed to me. And I was like, "Yo, what's up?"
How
She's
old
a
you
Theta
were?
healer.
How old you were?
23, 24.
Okay. So this
Big
was kind of
bodybuilder.
the beginning of your
The
practice, right?
beginning of my tissue work before I kind of discovered what apparently others refer to as gifts. Yeah. It was hard for me to accept that, but
you didn't know
she
that
said
you didn't know that you have the gift, or
man, let me tell you, when you feel something, I was raised not to be any different than anyone else. We're all special. And that is why my mission is to help people understand how special they are, because we all are. We all have gifts. We all connected to the same place, right? Some of us are just
we
more
all have a
extreme.
role. We all have a role
We
to play,
do.
right?
Some of us are just more extreme on how we seek those answers. And I was always a very, very intense individual with sports and athletics and skiing double diamonds when I was 5 years old and jumping off of glaciers and Whistler Blackcomb when I was 12, and just insane, intense stuff. As well as the way I loved people. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I was hypersensitive. I was a student mediator when I was little. I could feel my mom's pain. She had severe scoliosis. So I worked very hard with my father's asphalt business, standing on 200 degrees of heat, holding wheelbarrows full of a 1/4 ton all day. So I got very strong.
Okay.
So all this stuff culminated into my life here and why I'm here serving in this life. And this is why I'm here, because otherwise I sure as hell wouldn't be. I've done so
Okay.
many past life regressions and so many healings on who I've been in previous lives even. Man, let me tell you, when you really study a lot of these different cultures, it's it's all the same.
It is. That's what I
If you
see and
take a
feel as
step
well.
back
Yeah.
far enough, right?
Yeah.
We're and I want to keep this talk positive, but it's just amazing here in America, for instance. Like, you know, people used to make fun of my healing and they still do. They'd rather take drugs and doctors say, oh, that doesn't work, but people are leaving. Oh, wow. After 4 years of physical therapy, I see you for 2 hours and I'm in pain and I don't need any more PT, but I'm the crazy person. It's like people here make money by keeping people in pain. I
Yeah.
don't care about money. I just want to solve people's pain and have them not need to see me anymore. And then help people understand why they're in pain and how to correct it, whether it's through their sleeping or just traumas that they've been holding on to. You know how many police officers I have to like honor and different warriors. I'm like, you're a warrior. It's time to start learning how to live in peace. Because not only are people used to anger and being fired up, that's what their central nervous system is tuned to. And when you feel powerful and you're listening to that rage every day on the way to the gym, that's one thing. If you're listening to relaxing music on the way home, but so many people are constantly, you know, almost taking their central nervous system to a level where like, dude, you're not going to live to be 80. That's not how that works. And that's why finding meditation is incredible, because you're literally reprogramming your central nervous system and you're breathing. Most people don't breathe past their freaking throat, I've learned. So when I have my clients on my table actually breathe from their stomach, it's like a new life for them. So imagine never breathing from your stomach and then telling me you also deal with anxiety, but you just had 4 cups of coffee on the way in. Do you see how humans like 1 cup of coffee, breathe, put on some relaxing music, and then when the guy flips you off, like you can giggle. I came into work the other day and a homeless person was walking across the parking lot drinking a Pepsi and flipped me off for no reason. Do you realize, like, to not take on that energy, how proud I was of myself, instead to whoosh, send back compassion and love, instead of like, you motherfucker flipping my truck around and like, who the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the energy
Yeah.
that they wanted. They were looking for a fight because that's all they see. So I really do my best to transmute energy and never leave a footprint when I leave someplace. And if I go someplace, I try to leave it better or a person better off than I left it. But man, it's so hard. Like at times I see people judging me for my skin and who I am. It's hard. It's so hard to just a gentleman was in his wheelchair by the grocery store, and this man just freaking wheeled his ass up a hill, bro. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have. And I was in a rush. I was walking in to grab my coffee. I'm like, sir, I know you don't need the help, but can I help you, please? And he's like, no, I'm taking a rest. I'm taking a rest. Man, I got a red beard. So based on politics, I'm supposed to be racist. I'm supposed to be whatever based on all this shit. And it sucks, man, because like it's bullshit, the traumas that other people hold on to. So I have to go out of my way and understand that, man, this guy's judging me because of everyone else. Like it
But
I'm just
Jimmy,
I have Jesus in my heart, but I have to also pay the price because I got the muscles, I did that, I got the piercings, and I covered myself in tattoos as a protective measure. So most of the time, people gut check, yo, this dude, holy shit, who's this? So they don't just walk up on me typically. So I created that own judgment. So it is my fault. I'm okay with that. But my whole point is, this is where society's at, right?
But
It's crazy, bro.
It is. But you're talking about actually a lot about people not being able to work with their emotions, with behavioral patterns, and so on.
And
But
not
I don't
being
think
in their heart coherence.
Yeah, but we have not been taught to do that. I mean, you don't get lessons on working with emotions at school. There are so many
No.
myths around as well, like masculinity. You're talking about this big man at the beginning who, after 2 sessions, basically he started to cry. In your practice
That's
and
what
so
it
on.
took for him to be
Yeah.
vulnerable. My point was, that's what it took for him to release the emotion, the energy that was stored. Do you realize he got injured because he was arrested by police officers and he was embarrassed in front of them?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's been holding on to that anger so long. And this man had no reason to be arrested, even though he takes responsibility for that. So there was an event, a specific event that had been holding on like a fist under his scapula for 20 years. So my whole point in that conversation was, he was holding on to that emotion so deep. I had to assist him in changing his entire beliefs about the situation altogether,
Yeah.
forgiving himself, forgiving the people. Otherwise, bro, that tissue wasn't going to release. I can tell you that, because it's never released that fast on anyone before.
Perfect. Jimmy, a few steps behind. We go back a few steps. You were sharing about that man on Christmas or day before Christmas, his mom.
So anyway,
what happened? What happened there?
I had a woman. The dude comes in, he's shaped like an S. It's crazy. It's literally was like this. So I got him the ability to go back to work. I started working with this woman, and she was a theta healer. And she started telling me about my Nana, about my childhood, and I'm like, how do you know that? And she literally was muscle testing my body, asking my spirit questions. It was crazy, dude. The fact that she had a wall of oils and a bag of colors, and I was so pissed. I just, whatever. She's like, grab a scent and grab a color. Someone's here and wants to speak with you. And I grabbed a scent and I grabbed a color, and it was the very, very distinct color pants that my Nana wore. And the scent. And she brought her into the room. She put me in a meditation, and it was crazy. So I took a 3-day theta healing class to prove it was bullshit. And it was all working with the divine creator. So I said to myself, okay, well, if that's how this works, then I will find him through my work. And then I had angelic healers step into my life. And then I had other healers step in that removed entities. And like random people show up that my buddy at his office would be like, someone's here looking for you. And I'm like, okay. And literally telling me who my angels were. Like, bro, I started having, after I had an angelic session, and she went off and started telling me how I transmute energy and I'm an electromagnetic healing instrument. And I'm like, then she started telling me to call on my angels. I had a child with cerebral palsy come in that evening, and that's when I had my first metaphysical experience in my session. And that started changing my life. And it was insane. The things that would happen, and finding feathers on the table, feathers outside. And dude, I went in my car after the treatment, and like a radio station in between stations went like, to learn more about angels, go to prophecy.com, and then went to static. I went to prophecy.com and 8 ways to know an angel's with you, and I'm in complete hysterics, bawling. Like, that child was looking over my shoulder the whole time, and her little brother was looking over my shoulder. It went from being like I had blistered fingers, and I just remember this energy coming through me so powerful. I, like, the hair on my arms was on fire, and I just became overcome with emotion because it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever experienced. It was like goosebumps on fire. And I started crying, and that's when I looked down at Chloe, and all of a sudden, like, my body temperature went through the roof. My ears started ringing. And for me, a lot of clients will talk to me after, or like years, like, oh, remember during the session? And I had like no recollection of what I said or what I did. And when I realized I'd get myself into such a deep state of consciousness, and with my client as well, and many times where I would be channeling, and I knew exactly what to do and where to go. And I knew when the client walked in, I can see the imbalance and I just fixed it. And I just assumed we could all do that. And other people were like tripping. They're like, what? Plastic surgeons were tripping. I was fixing, breast augmentation so they wouldn't have to have surgeries, and reversing scoliosis. And I haven't even shared any of these videos online, and people don't even know I'm capable of that yet. So it's been so interesting, building my platform and my network. So when I have shared some of these videos recently, I had a couple million views on multiple videos of a winged scapula. At the same time, I had some guy in Europe with 200,000 followers share my video and tell everyone that I'm a fucking asshole and an idiot and don't follow me because I have my head up my ass. I got 10,000 more followers from that dude. I don't even know who he is. But it's funny because I can't take it personal, because as a PT or physio or whatever he is, like, he has no idea to the level and the depth that I'm healing my clients, because he sees a 60-second snippet that was edited and I'm not using the terms that he wants.
Sure.
And you just come to realize people like that don't even believe in healing. They think they're God. No, no, it's not true. So it's amazing not even being affected by someone like that anymore too. But it's sad because you get 1,000 people that are like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then one person like, fag. It's just like, I just have to have compassion for the level of healing that so many of these men need, that they just have no idea. It's such a different place to be in, because I took the time to heal myself, where I'm like, wow, I can just see and feel pain on people from not only a physical, but an emotional, and albeit a spiritual place, because most people have trauma around their beliefs. It's crazy. So try changing someone's belief system. A guy came in years ago. He's like, I don't think you can fix me. I'm like, well, I'm heading to lunch. You want to join me? Oh, you're not going to work? I mean, no, man, you just said I can. I'm not wasting my energy. He's like, oh my God, I'm stopping my own healing. I'm like, yep. He's like, well, would you still work with me? I'm like, well, it is your appointment time. Fixed his freaking shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are literally carrying their own shit. It's crazy. So it's so fascinating when I meet very, very successful people and very successful athletes up here, bro. It's so different. It's just the mindset difference. And Bruce Lipton, the biology of belief.
Yeah.
What you believe, you become. So many people are being sold the wrong beliefs. So my goal has always been to empower people. And as far as coherence is concerned, coming back to that, it's continuing to work from my heart space, and I've even had to figure out a morning routine. Like, instead of getting up and pounding caffeine and running over to the Mecca where everyone's raging on freaking caffeine, past 7 a.m., I can't even be there. There's so many people, so much energy, so much anger I can feel everywhere. It's like, holy shit, it's tough to focus on my own shit. So it's like I have to get up and I have to meditate and oxygenate my body, ground myself and align myself. And then I move and release tension and stuck energy. I've got a fascial stretch therapist. And now that I have my apprentice working on me, dude, my whole body's changing, bro. Holy shit. So it's interesting, even myself now being able to move different and feel different, like how much more like a child, like a little kid I am, excited to go work out. So most sessions I have with some of the most successful people in the world coming in here are, okay, well, this is what I'm doing for you today. And then, oh, I hope this lasts. Oh my God, I had a dude say that. Oh, hope this works. I just about jumped out of my damn body when I explained to him what I do to remain pain-free on a daily basis to be able to serve him. and that he's just going to go home after I sweat through 2 t-shirts and lay on his ass and expect like his whole life to change. I'm like, bro, if that's the case, I charge you 25 grand for these 2 hours. You know, like what
Yeah.
kind of
Jimmy, you know,
ignorance?
that's what I wanted to ask you actually, because you work with a lot of people with pain. What do you think is the main misconception of people today about pain?
That they are not in control of it. I have a gentleman in New York that I'm chatting with more than my coaching students, bro, for free. And this is why I have to set boundaries, because I care to the point where, dude, I'm talking conversations all over the world, which is cool, but like that's all going out with nothing coming back or no expectations in return. I'm just giving people my energy, giving people answers for free, sending referrals to therapists that I've worked with that I know can help people. But it's so hard, man. Like, and that's why in the future I told Maria, I'm like, after I get my platform built, like I have to have people, I have to teach people how to meditate. I have to teach people how to stretch. I have to teach people how to do bands. I have to say, here, please come follow me and do this to improve the quality of your life, because this is what you should have been doing for 10 years, taking care of yourself. Because if you don't do it now, your health is going to shit. You know what I mean? And so many men, because of one little shoulder injury, because they get their ego in the gym before they even warm up with imbalances that they should realize they probably have, you know, they're in there and then they have an excuse. Oh, I don't need to go to the gym. Well, they could just do cardio and stretch and feel amazing and still improve their lives. But it's the ego, you know. So it's so interesting now as I work with clients, I realize like I have to, and I've always realized this ever since I was a personal trainer, before that a general manager, 24-hour fitness in my 20s. But like I have to teach people how to breathe. I have to almost teach people how to live a peaceful life, because no one knows. And America doesn't want people to be at peace. They want to sell them all sorts of drugs to, you know, make them retarded. Tobacco's the most sacred, most incredible drug in the, or not drug, most incredible medicine in the world. In America, they got 300 chemicals in it to make you addicted. Most indigenous don't even inhale. They put it up their nose to remove energy through snuff, or they put it in their mouth just a bit to release it. They don't want to get addicted. Here I am, an American. I tried the Hape. They told me I needed it to remove energy before and after clients. I put 2 kilos of that shit up my face last year. I was like, enough. I can't. You know what I mean? Like, it's addicting. Like, we don't need it here. You know what I mean? If you have that practice, you know, of reprogramming and grounding yourself. And what's so interesting, I even had a talk earlier today with my Brazilian doctor, and he's like, are you on edge? Do you have any pain like in your articulates? Do you like, are you fired up, or do you respond quickly to things? And I'm like, he's like, are you sleeping? Your cortisol is through the roof, and this and this and this. And I'm like, and my histamine is through the roof. He's developing a specific customized supplement for me, as he does every year, to course correct my blood work. So that's another thing to consider. People aren't getting their hormones and their blood work looked at deeply, and you're not breathing. And in America, if you just eat processed foods and go to the and you know, go to fast food, or go to the gas station, like, excuse my language, you're kind of fucked, because you're gonna get addicted. I've been there. It's hard not to. You know, I could live on those Lenny and Larry cookies and Monster drinks, but like, holy crap, you want to talk about how fast my heart rate and my body goes to shit, right? It's insane, because I get my blood work done consistently, and I know how I'm feeling, obviously, because I'm very hypersensitive to energy. And I even get my blood pressure taken twice a week at EECP, who pumps my whole body out. So it's fascinating talking to those people, talking to my Brazilian blood doctor, talking to my healer, who can basically like work in between worlds, essentially. And then working with a Eastern medicine woman in my office who's looking at my tongue, telling me the same things that all these other people are through their diagnostic testing by looking at my tongue and holding my pulse and being like, oh, you're not getting circulation here. So it's interesting. You want to talk about Eastern and Western medicine. My dream would be somehow bringing the two together.
Well,
But I
that's,
don't
I
really
think, the
think
perfect solution. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that's
What?
possible though, because one side has to drive profits and they want to control everything and they own all the TV commercials. Because guess what? Everyone in America is being sold bipolar medication, ED medication, and every other medication possible is basically owned. And I don't shouldn't even be saying this. You should probably even edit this shit out. All by the pharmaceutical industry. All the politicians
Yeah.
are owned by the pharmaceutical industry. All the cannabis and everything is controlled between the FDA. Dude, our food's not even legal in 100 countries. You know how excited I get to leave this country? It's scary where I literally figure out at the grocery store where I can go to get the right kind of bread for my body and pasta, and then hope that what is in it is actually in it. And that's a scary place to be, man. Like living in LA and at 43 dreaming about being a damn farmer. You know, I know how hard they work. I don't want to be a farmer, but like, man, like living on a homestead eventually I can see possibly being the answer or something, you know what I mean? Because our food just seems to be getting worse and it's more expensive. I had to go spend $400 on dinner to get a decent piece of meat in town. Who can afford that?
But do you see a if you take away, you know, all the focus on all the negative, let's say, around the modern medicine, do you see any
Absolutely.
role? Do you see any role? What is the role of modern medicine and the inventions of medicine and so on? Where do you see a role in it,
Well,
in healing, in for real healing?
I think it would be working hand in hand with having healthy daily habits. Because for sure, if someone is into psychosis or in major depression and they're not sure what to do and they're in a very dangerous place, I absolutely agree. You need a doctor. You need a doctor that you can speak with and trust and get along with. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, obviously, those medications might be necessary. Maybe. I tried that route. No, did not work for me. I didn't even know how to drive a car. I freaking my blood pressure, like one pupil was huge, one was little. I didn't know who I was. I was going to take a nap in the car because I thought I was retarded. I didn't want to be a burden to my family. So I had 20 years ago to seek out natural ways because that way didn't hurt or didn't work for me. It almost killed me. And for the last 20 years, that's why more or less I've been on a search for holistic healing between TPMS, meridian tappers. I've been to Brazil, Guatemala, and multiple countries for healing. And I've received healing from so many different tribes and different places from people with different gifts. It's amazing the different things that I've learned over the years. It's absolutely amazing. And using myself as a test subject of, oh, these are things you just need to be on your whole life. And I'm like, no, it's not. And using certain things that were natural here with, Santa Maria and psilocybin and adaptogens. And dude, more than anything, these oils with doTERRA, these are pure plants. So even now with the meditation practice and using these oils that can not only ground me, but energetically protect myself and even calm me naturally, I don't get triggered by my environment because I'm also trying to eat way healthier food compared to the crap in these gas stations that like you drink one of those drinks and you can't not be fired up or your heart rate immediately changes. And who would know that if you were unconsciously just going around? And this is the other thing, most people in America, and I can only speak because I'm here, are always trying to seek a pleasure. And that's the issue when you talk about even things like marijuana, where now marijuana is becoming more legal. So people are like, oh, okay, great, I'm going to use that to sleep. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's kind of getting us further away from the point. Because if we can learn how to naturally sleep, you know what I'm saying, and things, then like we don't need to then abuse another medicine that's not necessary or whatever. So even that before really helped regulate my nervous system, but now through the breath work and through other things. But here's the thing, I have to do the work. I have to be willing to do the work. So going back to clients and even sessions and healing, they have to be willing to do the work. And for those of you watching, that doesn't need to be scary, but healing isn't always sunshine and rainbows. So like if you have fear around crying or being emotional, then that's the first place you need to start. Because like you said before, some men are like, oh, we're not supposed to cry. I'm like, oh, is that why our ancestors were alcoholics and freaking beat people and like got in fights or whatever? You know what I'm saying? My ancestors are coal miners. I have so much compassion because I don't think I could go in a coal mine without being drunk or stoned out of my mind if I had a choice. Or
Yeah.
I'd be smoking cigarettes nonstop. And when I get to a very stressful point, I kind of chuckle about the habits that I pick up. I love my ancestors, but I've had to reprogram myself because of the type of life I live and the lifestyle that I want to live and the type of energy work that I do. So there's just everything around my career and my life evolves around my healing work anyway. So there's just foods that I can't eat anymore that I love. There's things on TV that I can't watch anymore that's not good for me. There's just places I can't go anymore. Why would I? You know, so it's very interesting. As I've continued to walk the path of a healer, I don't have a choice. I have to heal because if I haven't walked through hell and danced my way, if you will, across, then how the hell can anyone else trust me to help them through their own personal hell? You know, and those of us that continue becoming more and more powerful healers, I think we just continue to heal ourselves more and more deep. And when you look around and you see everyone in pain and you realize like they don't have to be, but I also realize I can't run up to someone in the gym and try to help them, man.
Sure, sure. I mean,
That
that's,
goes very badly. They
no,
have to come to me.
that's back to that question that I asked you, what is the main misconception of people about pain today? And you told me, the belief that they cannot control it, but they must be willing to learn how to control it, or I wouldn't even say to control it, but how to work with it. And
Yes.
you
Why do I
touched
have pain? Where is it
exactly,
coming from?
you touched
How
on a
do I
perfect
manage
spot.
it? Yeah.
What you said something very important a few sentences ago about people being focused on getting pleasure out of life. The whole society is about actually
Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure.
pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. We have, even there is, the whole like philosophy or teaching around life is, to get pleasure from it and so on. And my feeling has been that it is there is so wrong, there is so wrong perception around that,
Yeah.
because and this ties in with another question that I had for you. What is the role of pain? What is the role of suffering in life? You mentioned about your ancestors being miners. Basically, it's like the saying, difficult times make strong men make good times, and good times
Yeah,
make weak men, and weak men make bad times, right?
absolutely.
So
And
what is
it's
the role of
interesting.
pain, right, in life?
Well, to touch on one topic real quick, as far as just one more thing on the pleasure, even Sadhguru, uh, um, innerengineering.com, incredible program. Holy smokes. He's another teacher of mine. He says if you don't ingest weed or you don't drink or any of that, your brain, without seeking pleasure all the time, your brain just seeks peace. So people who are smoking and drinking and doing all these other things to avoid just dealing with their shit, if you just breathe and deal with your shit, you'll have peace. Most people don't realize they can have peace, but you have to actually be focused and conscious. And that's why during my sessions, man, I have people breathe. Because guess what happens if I'm working on a painful area and they hold their breath? It hurts more.
Right.
And guess what else happens? Nothing. I can't release that. They're flexing. They're stopping their central nervous system. But if I have them breathe, 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 set yourself free, please call back your power, call it back, call it back. They start crying because they're letting go of shit that's not only at the surface, it's so much deeper than that. It has to do with their spirit and it has to do with their soul. So I look at humans when they walk in. I don't see their age. I don't see them being out of shape. When I look in someone's eyes, I see their spirit. And most people have such a beautiful spirit, but they have so much stress and anxiety and trauma and all this stuff that's happened to them. Like they can't even see how beautiful they are. So one of my goals is to give them that ceremony, if you will, when they see me, and literally have almost a rebirth for them, because I'm removing the trauma and I'm manipulating the trauma that's stored inside the tissue. They can feel it. We can literally feel it pink. And my clients, a lot of times when that pain disappears, they have a vision. One woman came in with a finger issue, and I'm like, you should see an acupuncturist. And her husband's like, no, she's going to see you. And I'm like, okay. And I just said to her, I go, I don't know if you're trying to control something in your life, but if you're trying to help other people learn their lesson, then like, it's just not going to go so well. I said, you need to stop trying to control everything. And I felt her hand almost like a glove come off. I've been working on this shit for half an hour. The glove came off. You know what she saw in her third eye? A vision of her dropping a sword. Later that day, she texted me. She goes, you don't even know what took place in my life, but I can't even begin to explain to you after our session what unfolded for me in my personal life. I had a rock star come in recently. He's a member of System of the Down. He's starting his own band. And he reminded me last session what I told him was going to happen. I said, you don't need to worry. Your manager's coming in. Everything is going to be fine. This is what's going to happen. Everyone's coming as it is. 3 months go by. I didn't even see him. He comes in. He goes, bro. I got 3 music videos. My new band's touring. My manager that afternoon walked in. We set a deal. It's the sickest thing. And I'm like, up here, right? I'm just helping people remove this past programming and past thinking, redoing some of their beliefs that are no longer serving them and updating that a little bit. And all of a sudden, instead of pushing things away or holding on to things, they're just allowing things to happen without being uptight or stressed. So it's so interesting if you just breathe and allow.
So
And
is
that's
that
why the future, I want to do guided meditations, because imagine if you were in pain, and I've done distance healing before on people and put my energy in their body and help them. It's crazy what I'm capable of. I haven't even talked about that yet in the world. But my future is going to be doing guided meditations all over the world, and honestly, helping people cure their own pain through their own breath and their own mind. That's what's coming for me in the future. I've already seen it and I've already experimented with it. It's just a matter of finding the time in my schedule and taking that leap.
Okay. Jimmy,
In the future. So
these changes in the mindset that you're talking about, is that happening through the body techniques that you apply on the people? Basically, you are
it's
deblocking
happening with my voice. I talk to my clients the entire session. My wife has been doing this Jungian-based coaching program, which helps people overcome their shadows and their beliefs. It's unbelievable. So, and I've had my own coaches in the past. And that's another topic to start on with people who need help with their beliefs. That's why I offer coaching, and I've been coaching right now, just my professionals, and I'm like helping them double their income. I'm helping them walk through things that used to create fear because of this. It's just simply mindset and helping them talk through things. So it's so interesting. If you can change someone's mindset, no difference than what Tony Robbins is famous for and a billionaire for. And I was very fortunate to be, work with him. And he used to fly me around, and he's such an incredible human being. And that's another person everyone who's listening should be watching. Tony Robbins, there's Art of Living, Sriri. He's such an incredible human being, and Wakia Unmani, he's my Lakota teacher, So in the future, man, I would love for you to even have him on with me and stuff. And if we can just get back to our roots,
I would love to.
and
I would love to.
If we could just, sit down with the indigenous and have them explain to us what they were taught, like I've been taught by them. For I did a warrior retreat with Wakia, and I'm like, I might as well take some paper. I'll maybe take some notes. I wrote 60 pages of notes. That's the last time, aside from my coaching calls, I've written anything on paper, aside from my visions and my goals, which are all coming true very quickly. So it's complete mindset. I have a book, and it's funny, Just Keep Breathing. And in it, I have my old affirmations, and I have vision boards from the past. This shit is coming true, bro. It wasn't before. I put all my faith and trust in God as the first one on top. And then, some different things over the years about how much I'll be making that didn't happen. But, a lot of the stuff in there is so true. Even the first thing that I wrote, and some of the stuff I'm being reminded about that I was praying about in the forest that I saw as visions. And now I'm part of a board on the largest nonprofit in the world with the man who's illuminated twice over. And my teachers are some of the most beautiful healers in the world. And that all came to be 5 years after I wrote this book. So it's the power of manifestation, man. I'm here to contribute to the healing of this world. That is my mission. I'm here to teach healers. I'm here to heal people. I'm here to help people heal themselves and change their mindset. Because, man, let me tell you what. You want to talk about an example, man. I've lost everything multiple times in my life because of my heart, not having lawyers and business and so many things. I could be such a pissed off, bitter, angry person, but instead I chose to transmute all that energy into loving the next people that come into my life. And because I've always taken that attitude, you want to hate on me, you want to push me around, you want to be negative, that's fine. I'm not going to return that energy. I'm not going to take it on, but I'm going to transmute it. And I might buy my wife flowers. I might giggle and say a joke to let it go. But that's the thing. If we could all not leave a footprint, right? If someone says something angry and we didn't say anything angry in return, if instead we did something nice, dominoes would fall quantumly all over the world, and maybe if we could create a change so powerful, instead of these rock concerts where 100,000 people, are doing drugs and listening to music, what about if we had a stadium and everyone was meditating and doing breath work and creating a frequency so powerful, like back in the day, like the pyramids, weird, and like we used to do way back in the day, the Gregorian chants. These are all frequencies and hertz, the right frequencies. The future is that. So it's no doubt why we have more towers up and all of a sudden everyone's more bipolar. Well, that's weird. Weird. And the food isn't real. Weird. And I have to have very specific soaps or I break out in a chemical burn. Weird. Or as a child, I had behavioral issues at times, but no one told me Mountain Dew or all the yellow dyes and mac and cheese, which I lived off of, Top Ramen, which wasn't even real food, all the red dyes. I'm a hypersensitive, gifted, I was child. I didn't even know it. And I would be addicted to cookies. I was eating Frosted Flakes, man. You know this shit that's in there? They take a magnet. There's little pieces of fucking metal in that bullshit. Maybe it's different now, but like Lucky Charms, dude, I wouldn't eat the good stuff. I'd pick out the marshmallows that had all the chemicals in them. So I had to literally retune my entire nervous system from drinking Jolt Colas and all this stuff that we didn't know wasn't good for us. Holy smokes, man. And then as a bodybuilder, seeing how drastic these little things, you know, make you feel or cramp your stomach or whatever. And then you go into pure food as a medicine man, more or less. I have to have a unbelievably strict diet so I don't hold on to any stuck energy or inflammation. From my contact with people, from my environment with EMF radiation around me, I do detox radiation baths every week. Aside from my Epsom salt baths, I use my PEMF. I have an iTaurus at home now. I use grounding pads. I use grounding sheets. I had one of these gifted to me. It's changed my freaking life. It literally puts frequencies in my room. And if I put it on 20 hertz, which is specific for soft tissue healing, and I hold it, I can feel the tissue in my hands healing. It is so badass. Some of the technologies out there, EE system, these 0-point gravity systems out there that charge your cells. So the future, really, breath work, oxygenating the body, getting rid of metals. I use zeolite powder to pull metals out of my body. There are different, you can juice celery in the morning. First thing, pulls metals and toxins out of your body. There are so many things people could do to change their life before they drink acid in the morning and don't breathe through their stomach. And then, oh, I have a stomach ache. Yeah, no shit. You know what I mean? Like, people have no idea that they're literally creating their own reality because they're living in fight or flight mode, reacting to everything. So that is why when I work with not only my students, but even my coaching people, the first thing I do is aim to reprogram my client's central nervous system into peace. Because if we can anchor something to peace and anchor that peace to their spirit, man, and then maybe we get them to do a little moving and a little energy, you know, like people are holding on to so much stuff over their years. I often question when we have birthdays, why do we blow the candles out? The candles are already blown out. We should be lighting that shit back up. You know what I mean? So that's when I tell my clients, like, let's light all these candles back up. And I literally, in my sessions, I put my hand over my masculine client's heart and I put it on their head and I said, breathe that energy through your body. And I breathe with them. And I focus my intention on filling their heart with so much love and calling back all their love and all their power from every reincarnation, from every plane of consciousness that their spirit has ever been on, ever. And when you feel that energy come through, wow. That's what I try to do and create a little bit of an imprint where I said, okay, now you feel this peace, and they come out like they feel like they're on medicine because I've given them such deep peace. They're like high. I have to ground them before they drive away because they're like, holy shit, where am I? It's almost like they've been on medicine, right? Because I get them to a very deep state. It's a ceremony, and my work has evolved so much. And that's why I figure out, like, okay, well, how can I just help everyone everywhere? Because so many people want to work with me, dude. It's hard to read all these messages because I can feel the pain in people's messages. And it's like, I have to not take that on, though, or I would be emotional all day. And, you know, half the time at the gym, I'm wearing my Ray-Bans and I'm listening to healing music as I'm working out, and people don't realize I'm fucking crying, dude. I'm releasing all the energy and pain on a daily basis that I'm taking on from my clients because I'm thinking about them as I'm releasing this shit. I listen to shamanic music and I listen to music from South America all day long. And I kind of chuckled to myself. This morning, I was listening to Mother Mary frequency for an hour. That just felt right to me. Nothing else feels right anymore than that divine. And here's one last reminder for all your people watching. Never forget you are a divine being. I don't care what trauma you've been through. From the beginning, your inner child, you are divine. And if you start treating yourself divinely, start blessing your water. I'm so thankful for the health and happiness and joy, drinking that, blessing your food and eating food that is good and healthy and tastes good. Like, dude, I had a bee fall off my hat on the way into work the other day. And I'm like, he was sitting right on my hand. And I'm like, shit, bro, this was like me from the forest. Like, I'm being tested right now. Like, he was walking around my hand and I had my suitcases and bags and I'm coming into work and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm like, I'll help you out. Just chill. And like now, like my major concern was this bee. And I didn't care about him stinging me. I was concerned about getting him to a safe place. So I go to gut in my office door and he falls on the floor and I'm like, okay, shit, he's on the floor. Okay, I'm going to run my stuff in and then I'm going to grab a little freaking Post-it note and then I'm going to come back. So I did. My apprentice is like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm in a situation. I'll be right back. So I go outside and I get this bee and a yellow piece of paper. It was this one. And then I take him outside and I try to put him on an aloe plant outside on the porch. And I'm like looking around for flowers. And I'm like, okay, I've got shit to do. I can't be too emotionally invested. So then the bee falls off the paper, falls off the plant, falls in the puddle. I'm like, fuck, I can't drown this friggin' thing. That's not good karma. So then I scoot him out of the puddle. I put him back over in the sun and he's moving. And I'm like, okay, dude, that's where we go. I'm sorry. Get some sunlight. Please relax. And then I get back inside. I'm like, this is my life now. Like, dude, I got squirrels outside looking in my window, telling me they're hungry because I was feeding them. And these little bastards are creating a mess. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be messing with the ecosystem. Like hummingbirds, like I'm talking to my plants because, plants have a spirit, dude. Plants are alive. And if you are on forest medicine, you will see very quickly that plants are alive. So I care just as much for my fellow humans as I do that little bee and that plant in my office. So I think if we can all, just chill out and just realize like, man, no one here is getting out alive. But if we can try to be patient and calm and realize like most people not only came from warrior ancestors, like they took it on. And like they've been trying to live a life like that's impossible. And so many people are so hard on themselves. I'm like, you're a perfectionist. Why are you adding more freaking pressure? Like, are you nuts? So I actually have to go out of my way first to give these warriors respect. Be like, dude, how are you still alive? So anyway, if people have a daily practice where they can take 10 minutes, visualize that light coming through you, going deep into Mother Earth, rooting deep, breathe that energy back up through you, out your crown, envision the room and your energy field that's 6 feet or more, filling full of light, and then ask that energy field be sealed up so you can be protected. Go out of your way to send love to everyone in your life. Even the people that hurt you the most, if you send them love, man, it will bring you so much peace. And it is so hard to send people who hurt you the most love. But eventually, when you heal, you'll realize the people that hurt you the most taught you the greatest lesson. And that's what's been amazing, where people are like, how are you at so much peace? I have like, dude, I got so much to share with you of what I've experienced, so, I'm trying to make the time to get another book written. I'm trying to make the time to develop a platform that I can help more people because like, it's my mission, man.
Awesome. Jimmy, you know what has been, what is really nice, funny? I had so many questions I wanted to ask you and you answered all of them without me asking you. I mean, you even went to you got to the, like in order as I had it in my mind. So at one moment I just gave up on asking the questions because I saw that you are coming up with answers to all these questions. So this has been amazing.
I had a physical therapist come in and I started pointing out all his imbalances. And he's told me, he's like, you can see that? And then I worked on him for an hour and I did the same thing. For 30 minutes, I talked about my own experiences in life. And I looked over and he was crying. And he shook his head and I go, I'll be damned. I didn't have to say anything. So
Exactly.
it was cool. And he's sending me clients for soft tissue work now. So it's cool, man. I respect healers from every walk of life. I respect doctors. I respect everyone. And I don't want anyone to think there's absolutely anything wrong with the pharmaceutical industry or anything. What people need to do is come up with the right answers and the right protocol for themselves. You know what I mean? And if I can help assist people in coaching or someone in my network can, man, or, I'm all about it. But if people could find that daily meditative practice to start, it would be life-changing. My wife cried for 7 years, and then one day in the 7th year, she just stopped crying. That woman has changed my life. And the reason why I'm so busy and the reason why now I'm coming out and ready to teach and heal all over the world is because of the foundation of love that she's given me in my home. So that is what I want for everyone, that foundation. And we're going to be doing couples retreats. And there's so many things, even as her and I come up with these frustrations in our own communication, like we're developing a program. People need this, so I just can't thank you enough. Honestly, brother, I'm so excited to continue building our relationship. And I'm excited to come over there and create something really beautiful, you know what I mean, in the future when that opportunity presents itself.
I really hope so. I really hope so. Jimmy, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. Thank you for being my guest today in the Healing with Coherence podcast series. Dear listeners, dear viewers, thank you for staying with us till the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Jimmy. And if you haven't subscribed yet to our podcast and our social media profiles, I'm inviting you to do so. We are on all major media platforms. We are on YouTube, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are also on Instagram and Facebook. And we are sharing there as well more content related to healing with coherence, to chronotherapy, and to other similar topics. So please come and be our guests, be part of our community. And I'll be really thrilled to hear from you. And I'm inviting you as well to share this episode with your own networks and contacts and to follow us in order to not miss the upcoming episodes of Healing with Coherence podcast. I'm Michael. This has been episode number 9 of the Healing with Coherence podcast series. And I will be seeing you with our next episode and next guest.